This is the story of Arun Verma, a 3-year-old graphic designer. Arun was known for his calm demeanor, diligent work ethic, and studious nature. He resided in Lucknow with his parents, Savitri and Arvind. While Arun never subscribed to superstitions, he harbored a childhood fear of sleep due to recurring terrible dreams. As he matured, these dreams transformed into something more unsettling. Arun maintained a diary, from which this story is derived. It details an experience of sleep paralysis that Arun endured one cold January night. After completing an office project, Arun went to bed at 2:30 a.m., quickly falling asleep due to exhaustion. However, he awoke at 3:10 a.m. The room's fan was turning, and light filtered in through the window, making everything seem normal. Yet, he found himself unable to move. He attempted to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. In the corner of the room, a blurred but enormous black figure stood. It appeared to be formed not of air, but of the surrounding darkness. He kept trying for a long time, and after a few minutes he woke up, and the room was dark. He turned on the lights and looked around, but there was no one there. He thought it was a bad dream. He thought maybe it happened because of my tiredness, and he went back to sleep. The next morning he Googled about it and came to know about sleep paralysis. He read some stories about it and heaved a sigh of relief that this is a common thing. To calm his fear, he talked to a psychiatrist known to his friend. Then the doctor explained him about sleep paralysis. See, sleep paralysis is a condition in which a person is awake but is unable to move or speak. It usually happens during the transition between sleep and wakefulness, either when you are sleeping or waking up. This happens because the body remains in a state of rapid eye movement, sleep, where the muscles are normally relaxed, while our brain remains awake. Some of my patients who experience sleep paralysis talk about hallucinations, such as seeing someone's presence in the room or feeling pressure on the chest. This can be due to stress, a regular sleeping pattern, or some other sleep disorder. Coming home in the evening, Arun mentioned the night's experience to his mother, Savitri. Savitri remembered one thing from Arun's childhood. When he was just 10 years old, he had told that every night a shadow of a woman stares at him, sometimes near his bed and sometimes behind the cupboard. Savitri had then done an exorcism, and everything was fine, but perhaps that shadow never went away. It just hid, and now returned. But Savitri hid this from Arun, thinking that Arun might get scared or it might affect his work. But gradually, every night had become a scary test for Arun. He began to experience a recurring phenomenon. Whenever he slept, his soul felt drawn into another dimension, a state of sleep paralysis. He would perceive his room exactly as it was, the fan turning, the door ajar, light filtering in through the window, yet his body would be completely immobile. He would try to move, to scream, but it was as if an invisible force had him in a chokehold. On one occasion, he saw his parents standing in the room, watching him sleep, but they were oblivious to his torment. He could witness everything, but he was powerless, like being trapped in a vivid nightmare with his eyes open. His only recourse was to watch, desperately hoping to awaken. Each time, he felt an escalating urgency, a fear that if he didn't break free, he might never wake again. Arun didn't suffer from sleep paralysis every night, but it occurred at intervals of a few days. Each subsequent experience was more terrifying than the last, sometimes lasting for 3 days, other times for a week, and always leaving a profound and deeply unsettling impact. He wrote in his diary that now she does not just stand far away. Now she comes near me and looks at me. That shadow near my breath had now started taking a form, a woman who had no eyes. The face looked strangely familiar, as if it was related to a previous life. But the scariest thing was that Arun started having the same experience, not only in his room but also in different places. If he slept at a relative's house, he would feel that the same shadow was now present in that new room as well. Once he went to a hill station on a company trip, and at night he felt that he was again trapped in the same old room, from which he was trying to get out. But there was only darkness outside every window. Every time he felt that this place had not changed. It was just his illusion. In the shadow, it would come everywhere at the same time, as if it had entered inside him. One day he dreamt that he was lying on the side of a deserted railway track, and a woman was slowly moving towards him. There were bloodlines on her face, and she was mumbling, "Where will you run? Leaving me alone again?" Then Arun woke up, and it seemed to Arun as if Nika had returned. Arun was now afraid to sleep every night, because he did not know in which place he would wake up, and what new horror he would see about Arun's life today. While Arun's life appeared ordinary from the outside, it held many hidden depths. He grew up in a middle-class family in Lucknow. His father, Arun, was a government employee, and his mother, Savitri, was a homemaker. Their home was strict, yet filled with love. From a young age, Arun possessed a serious disposition, preferring books over sports. He had a best friend, Rohit, who had been by his side since childhood. However, after school, Rohit's family relocated to another city, leaving Arun feeling isolated. Arun was frequently teased at school, which contributed to his difficulty sleeping at night, often waking up in fear. Once Savitri heard him mumbling and crying in his sleep, but he wasn't taken to a doctor. Instead, he was given an amulet, which remained in his cupboard. Arun felt a sense of freedom for the first time in college, where he met Neha. Neha's personality was the complete opposite of his. She was talkative and a bit stubborn, but perhaps this was the reason that both of them were drawn towards each other, and for the first time they felt that life is not limited to work and books. Neha filled him with colors that he had never felt, but gradually, due to the pressure of Arun's career and his emotional nature, the distance between them started increasing. Gradually, Arun stopped meeting Neha. He would only talk on the phone. The last time they met was on a friend's birthday. Then Neha asked Arun, "Arun, you will never leave me, right?" Arun laughed and avoided the question by not giving any answer. Gradually, after a few days, Arun stopped talking to Neha. Without giving any reason, he went out of her life. Neha tried to meet him, but Arun would always avoid meeting her on some pretext or the other. Due to this, Neha broke down, and in a few months, the news came that he had committed suicide. Arun did not blame himself. Then he considered it a weakness and forgot it. But now when that shadow sat on his chest, when that face appeared in front of him, his heart said, "This is the same Neha." His past was now chasing him. The same pain, the same mistake now every night was demanding an account of it. Now, Arun's experiences were becoming even deeper and more frightening. Earlier, where they used to happen at an interval of a few days, now they started chasing him almost every night. Sometimes he would suffocate in his sleep. Sometimes he felt as if someone was trying to pull his soul out. He felt as if someone was breaking his body from within. He was no longer able to live a normal life. Forget about office work now. He started feeling heavy eating, talking, dark circles under his eyes, and irritability had come in his behavior. Arvind and Savitri became worried about this change in him. They showed him to many doctors, neurologists, and psychologists. Every report came normal. Then they tried everywhere. Tantrics, Bob is temples. Many remedies were done. Puja Haven, JAAD. Hunger did not make any difference to Arun's condition. He started to remain silent. He started seeing fear in every shadow, sometimes in the bathroom mirror, sometimes in the corner of the balcony. He feels as if his soul is hovering around him all the time. Many times he tried to fight himself, tried to train himself to stay awake from sleep. But every time he lost, and finally his family members also gave up. But then, Arun's nights had become a punishment that no one could stop. Arun's condition had deteriorated so much that after trying everything, his family members had started praying that somehow he gets relief from this fear and pain. Arun was now slowly realizing that the shadow that comes to him every night is none other than Neha. Every time she came as a shadow, he remembered his college days, those places, those words, those incomplete emotions. But this secret was only within Arun. No one else understood his pain, his truth. Slowly, his mental balance also started deteriorating. He started living in his own world. He would mumble, talk to the walls, get scared of the mirror, and get scared seeing every shadow. Sometimes he would suddenly wake up screaming at night and say, "I told you to leave me. I apologized." Right. The family members were not able to understand anything. Now, Arun was no longer the same person he was a few months ago. His face had turned pale, his body looked weak, and his eyes looked lost, as if he was waiting for someone to come and take him with him. Arun now stopped getting up from the bed and eating and drinking, but his body kept getting tired, thinking about it. During the same time, some of Arun's old college friends and office colleagues who came to know about his condition came to meet him when they saw Arun's condition and the helplessness of his parents. Their hearts also sang. 3 days later, one night, Arun suddenly switched off all the lights of the room and locked himself in the room. At night, a strange, strong smell started spreading, as if something was burning. When looked inside from the window, Arun was lying on the bed, but his body was bent to one side as if someone had grabbed him and jerked him in the morning. When Arun broke the door of the room and came inside, Arun was found dead. His face had turned black, his eyes were open, and there was the last line of the diary lying nearby. I know now this was not a disease. This was withdrawal. Arun's story tells us that sometimes the things that we consider dreams, illusions, or mental weakness are actually the shadows of our deeds. Sometimes sleep paralysis is not just a medical condition. Sometimes it is the door to that world where someone is waiting for you to wake up and surrender yourself. If you like this story, then subscribe to us. Do follow our Instagram and Facebook page. And yes, friends, don't forget to subscribe.